Okay, the thing to remember about absolute value equations, almost always there's going to be two solutions. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is get the absolute value stuff by itself. You want to isolate for the absolute value. So in this case, we would add 3 to both sides. So we just add 3. And then what this says essentially in English is the absolute value means distance from 0 is 15 spaces. Well, if you look at a number line, you can go in either direction. You can go the positive direction or you can go the negative direction. Both directions you can go 15 spaces. That's why for absolute value, most of the time there are two equations, and I'll explain when there's only one, no solution or all solutions in a little bit. Okay, so you go ahead, before you can do those two equations, remove these two absolute value bars. So just put v subtract 17, have that equal to the negative option, and then v subtract 7 is equal to the positive version. We've gone both directions, and then just solve. So add 7, and you could do this right there just on both equations, and what we will end up with is v is equal to negative 8, v is equal to 22, and most teachers or professors might want it in the solution set brackets with a comma between those. Since those are both v values, you just put a comma. Remember, if there was like a v and a w, that's when you'd use parentheses. Okay, so now we're going to come over here and I'm going to show you a different version. So again, you want to isolate absolute value by itself. So in this case, we would multiply 9 both sides. And now this says the absolute value is negative 27. So what that means is distance from 0 is a negative distance. Can we go a negative distance? No, we cannot. So a negative distance is not possible. So that answer would be no solution. Some professors might have, this is called the null, where it's, you put a slash, almost a vertical slash through a 0, meaning it's the empty set. There is no solution. All right, and then the next video we'll talk about absolute value inequalities, because that's a little bit different. Oh, the one last thing I wanted to say, when there is one solution, so this is when there's no solution. When absolute value is equal to negative number, automatically no solution. When you know you only have one solution is if the absolute value is equal to 0. 0 doesn't have both a positive and negative distance, and so you'd remove that. Let's say this said x plus 5. You would just move the absolute value bars, set that equal to 0, subtract 5 on both sides, and you'd get one solution. But the only time you get one solution for an absolute value is once you isolate the absolute value bars. There's nothing else attached or unattached on the absolute value bar side. If the right side is equal to 0, there will just be one solution. All right, that's it for a refresher on absolute value equations. Next one is absolute value inequalities.